We'd like to introduce continuous deployment. Before that happens, we need to get our application manually deployable to Heroku. Let's get started. One of the things we need to start with is allowing the production secret to go up to Heroku. For the record, storing secrets in your Git repo is absolutely against my principles. I just don't know a better way to get around this for Heroku apps with Phoenix for now. So let's open up the gitignore file and we'll allow the prod secret. So down here you can see this is not in the gitignore anymore, and I've already added it to the repo. Anyway, so next we'll create a Heroku app for our application, and we'll specify the #nukes build pack. And then we'll add, after that, the Phoenix static build pack, and this takes advantage of a new feature that Heroku has that lets you stack build packs. Okay, so now the Phoenix static build pack will give us a good enough default proc file, so we don't need one of those. If we wanted to do something more interesting, we could add a proc file here. You also need to make sure your production environment uses the database URL that Heroku provides. So you can see mine at prod.secret.exs, and it's just URL, and then you pass it the database URL environment variable, and get rid of the username, password, and database keys here. If you don't do that, you get really crazy looking errors that are absolutely not helpful. Anyway, so now we'll just push it up to Heroku, and we'll get a successful deploy. Okay, so we also need to run the migrations. So we'll do a Heroku run mix ecto.migrate. And finally our app is up and running, so we can visit it right here. And I'm going to go to /posts. And we'll make a new one. And this is Marvin the Martian. Okay, and so that's all working. So now that we've got the core Heroku deployment working, we can get to the point of this episode, which is to show off Phoenix continuous deployment in Semaphore CI. The first step there is to add the Semaphore add-on in Heroku. So Heroku add-ons create Semaphore. And then we can look at the docs for Semaphore. And there's a good little explanation of how you can use it, but really all it boils down to is you come in here and you set up deployment. Make this a little bigger. It's a Heroku deployment. We're going to do it automatically. We want to deploy off the master branch. So here I have to paste my Heroku API key, so I'm totally going to skip past that, but it links you over to it. Okay, and then you select your application. And so I've got Elixir Friends down here. And you name your server. So I'm going to call the server Elixir-Friends. And we'll create it. And that's it. So we can click deploy. It'll do a deploy, but since we just deployed this commit, it's not going to change anything. So let's just go back to the main page here. And what we want to do is, if you look, we have a list of posts, but there's an image here and we're not showing it. So let's open up the posts index and let's add the image to this table. And so I'm just going to add a th for it. And here I'm going to add an image with source equal the image URL. That should do it. And so let's go ahead and make a commit. We'll push it up here to our GitHub repository. And we'll look at Semaphore, and that kicked off a build. Okay, so there's a build happening. We can watch that happen. Okay, so the test passed, and we can see it's deploying to Elixir Friends, so we can watch the deployment happen. Okay, so the deploy is done, and we should be able to just come back in here, refresh the page. And yeah, there's our image. Alright, so there we go. In today's episode, we saw how easy it is to set up Semaphore to handle continuous deployment for your Phoenix projects. See you soon.